Okay. So the last time I've shown you how to use input labels, no? Okay. So this is now when you say an input or labels and inputs, no? When you say an input, you assign an ID to an input, like a variable in C sharp or rather C++, so that you can retrieve the value of the variable. Okay, like in this case, there's a label first number, and the actual input ID is N1. This is N2, and this is sum. No, okay, do you follow? If you view the source code, the actual page source, no, there's an input, no, with ID N1. There's an input with ID N2. The label for N1 is first number. The label for N2 is second number. Okay, and then we have a button called compute sum. Okay, so this is the way you declare a button, and then to be able to specify what will be done when the button is clicked, you specify an on-click property of the element, where you will mention the name of the function or the JavaScript function that will be called when the button is clicked. Is it clear? No? So my on-click event, my on-click property. Okay, so this is the main part of your, and then there's a label for another input called sum, and we have specified this to be read-only so that the user cannot type over. We will only use this to display the sum. Okay, and then we have our reference back to the home page, and then we follow it with the script tag to start programming. Do you follow? So this is the compute sum value. What is it does? It get the element of N1, get the value of the element N1. To retrieve the value of the element N1, we use the JavaScript function get element by ID. Okay, so there's also a get element by name, but I have tested it, but the most popular retrieval function is get element by ID. Okay, when you say, can you see the code? When you say get element by ID, no? You specify the ID name and you say that value. We multiply it by 1 because the get element that ID value will retrieve it as a string. No? Multiplying it by 1 converts it automatically to numbers, to a number, because JavaScript, being a typeless number, will convert the type according to the type of the receiving variable or when it is multiplied by 1. Okay? Do you follow? So in this case, x is an integer, y is also an integer, and x will receive the value from the input N1. Y will receive the value from the input N2. Okay, where is that? It's here, no? This is N1 and this is N1 and N2. You follow? The type are numbers. Do you follow? No? The console.log, you can disregard this. You will discuss this maybe later in your actual web development course. No? You will have 1 semester of web page development, and you will have many more semesters for backend and emerging web technologies. No? So you'll have about 3 semesters doing web development. No? So it's important that you know the basic. No? That's why what we are introducing it here. Now, aside from that value of the get element, you can also change the content of the element. When we say document get element by inner.html. No? The function inner.html will change the value. Remember sum label, this is sum label. Oh? Sum label, no? The original value is the sum is, but we will change it to the sum of x and y is. And then we have an input called ID sum with ID sum, and it's read only. It's read only to the user, not to the JavaScript function. No, so we will retrieve it by get element by ID, and that value we apply it with z. Do you follow? Okay, so it goes like this. This is N1. Okay, this is N2. Okay, when you compute sum, this is sum label. This one, this is sum label, which is a paragraph, which is an H2 by the way, and this is the sum. This is the input sum. Okay, if you look at the code, view by page source. So this is the sum, and this is the sum label. This is not an H2, but by the way, this is just a label. Okay, Any questions so far? Okay, so you can view the examples here. You can write it to, you can use these examples to write the 4 different assignments that are you're supposed to have. No, remember, no, 30% of your grade will come from the 4 assignments. No? So imagine it's 30 points. Okay, 30 points for your grade. No, there will be no more rubrics. I will just look at the accuracy. If you want to, if you want to make it more beautiful, no, more enticing to look at, you can do anything, any decorations you like. Okay, but I do recommend you use a menu to display, segregate assignment 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I will check the attendance again. Okay, so this is sum and label. Now I have another, I have another version for this, which actually is, okay, without a button function. No, automatic sum computation on your input. So say 23, the 2 plus this, it will automatically give you the answer. So say if you change this, it will give you a different answer. Okay. This uses an event on the input, not on a button, because we no longer have a compute button. Okay, called on key up. Okay, which we attach. No, this is where we call, no, the compute function on key up. Sometimes it can also be on key press. No, on key up is the event the moment you release a key from the keyboard. Okay, when you release a key from the keyboard, the function compute sum, which is the same function. No, it retrieves the n1, it retrieves the n2, it computes the sum, and okay, changes the document, rather the sum label and the sum. Okay, very simple codes, no, but very useful in fact. No? Any questions so far? No. So I have discussed this already. Then we go back to the main page. Okay. Today I'm going to discuss branching and looping. Now, who are you? Who among you are using?
Hey, sir. Excuse me, sir. Nasa waiting room daw si Maverick Tigaw, sir.
Yes. Dali lang, no? Wala akong makitang waiting. I think I have, let me check. Wala pa si Figo. But no, there's no, wala siya sa waiting room, oh. I don't have it.
Ay, ask mo na siya, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Pwede mag-ask, sir?
Yes, of course.
Sir, sa submission bin sa mga program, sir ba, ang ginahingi niya is HTML document file po, hindi yung website na link.
What do you mean? Hindi ko maintindihan.
Yung sa submission po ng mga program, sir, is HTML document file po yung hinihingi, hindi po website link. Ano po ilagay doon?
Document talaga yun. It's the text file.
Okay, text file. Okay.
Well, not the link. Because I don't need a link because you have your I will check the link in your in your W3 Spaces website.
Okay, gets, sir, gets.
You follow? I just need the file to check that you really wrote the assignment. But the code, I'm going to check it from your W3 Spaces website. Okay? Do you follow? So it is required that you will have a website. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to take the summative test. Anyway, there are other hosting sites, no, that are also free. But the main reason why I prefer W3 because you have the tutors there, you have the tutorials, you have the lessons there. If you want to know how to build HTML and CSS, you have all materials there which you can right away, no, test on your W3 Spaces. Okay, diba? By the way, the free account for W3 Spaces is limited to 500 MB, and then you're limited also to 500 updates or 500 requests per month. So I think 500 is too much, no? I think 500 is too much for assignments, no? But in my case, I've almost reached, no, 500. I reached 400 plus, and I was warned. I was given an email, so I have to upgrade my account to basic. So anyway, it doesn't matter anymore because my W3 Spaces is now limited to 2,500 requests. No? It's very cheap, no? Without the domain, no? By the way, You have to buy the domain yourself. Okay. So ito no, 2,500, I've just finished 211. Ang bilis niya maubos, no? And then of the 500 MB, I've already used 1.08 MB. But I have so many examples. You only need to pass 4 assignments, okay? So if you want to upload your picture, you make sure it's not very large, okay? Because you are limited to 500 MB. Okay. Any questions so far? Now, if you'd like to see how the menu is created, you can view the source of this. I took this from a W3 school template. No? W3 CSS template. You can Google that. No? Sorry for the disturbance. No? So anyway, no. So you can look at how the menu is created. Okay. There's so many other templates that you can use. No? So to make as if you're an expert in HTML already. No? Pwede, no? Because there are so many W3 school CSS templates. No? W3 CSS templates. Actually, you can also take. There's a shortcut there also, no? So I forgot which one. I think this is the one which I used. Architect. No? So ang dami, no? For example, you can use this. Okay, and there's a menu. Do you follow? Okay. You can easily use this. Huh? You can view the page source. And then copy this. Make sure you change the title now. Copy this to your web page and you're done. Right? Okay. Okay. So web page making is enjoyable, especially if you have a lot of materials or a lot of content, okay, which you can upload. Paano ba ito isara? Close menu. Okay, ganda, di ba? So yeah, you can use the template you prefer. Okay, any questions so far? I look at your your examples after I discuss branching and looping. Okay, but before we do that, we'll say if else in Python. May Python din sa W3 schools. Who's doing Python here? Who's doing Python?
Kami sir sa data science.
Okay. So data science. So we'll have to translate, no? As of the moment, no? Python and JavaScript are almost the same in terms of data types. Because in Python, you don't declare a type of a variable, right? Diba? You just assign a value right away. When you declare values in Python, you don't have to declare them. You just assign values right away. Okay. The same is true with JavaScript. However, in JavaScript, you say var or let. Okay. Okay. Do you follow? No? Kasi ganito. No, not this. Okay. You say var or x. No? Var. You can do an equals right away, or you can say let z. Take note, I haven't declared z, but I can declare z anywhere, no? So that's the same thing. The same thing is true in Python, but you don't say let, you didn't say var. You just say x equals y equals. Do you follow? And like JavaScript, Python is also typeless, which means that the type of the variable will depend on the value that you assign to it. Okay? Do you follow? Do you follow? No? Now, another main difference is when you create a function. In JavaScript, when you create a function, you say function. Do you follow? In Python, you say define function. Okay? Di ba? If I were teaching intro to programming, ayaw ko muna na mag-Python. Kasi matagal pa ito magamit eh, di ba? I've done Django myself, no? But you will use this when you are doing back-end programming. Okay, so def plus AB. You also say return A plus B. And now the colon is the scope delimiter. Do you follow? Because in C sharp, or rather in C++, let me have another, no? When you say if then else, okay, like this. In C++, when you say if followed by a condition, you have a beginning scope, you have an ending scope. Else, if a condition followed by a beginning followed by an ending, right? In Python, okay, you don't do a beginning and ending, but you indent. Okay? So meron din siya, Python and ano are almost the same. Oh? It has a double equals. It also has a triple equals like JavaScript. Okay? So when you say indent, when you indent, no? Even if you don't have an end of scope, all things that are indented are part of the scope, starting at the colon. Do you follow? Anyway, Python is a new programming language. It supposedly does that because eventually in C# or in C++, you always indent to make your code readable. Do you follow? But you are not required to do so. Do you follow? We only indent to make our code readable. But in Python, you are required to indent. Otherwise, it will not be part of the scope. Okay? It will not be part of the scope. Like this here, no? This is a part of the scope of the if g is lesser than or equal to 70, lesser than 72. This is the another scope of the another else. Another scope of another else. Now in Python, if you do not indent, okay, the statement goes out of scope. Do you understand? Do you follow? No. So for those who do not know Python, Python is a much easier language to learn. No. It's a much easier, very simple syntax. No. Okay. Now, in C# you say else, or C++ you say else space if. In Python you say elif. One word, elif. Right? Python users, diba? What does elif mean? It means elif, or rather else if. Okay? Do you follow? Now in Python we do not terminate, no? We do not terminate. However, one line means one command. If you have no, you will have to extend. If you have a very long command, you'll have to extend the line. Okay? You'll have to extend the line. I forgot what the extension is. What's the line extension command in Python? So ito ang mahirap ngayon sa Python, no? How to wrap long lines in Python. Okay. So anyway, you must know that already, no? But in C# we terminate lines, or C++ we terminate lines with semicolons. The same thing is true with JavaScript. We terminate lines with semicolons. Okay? Katulad nito, may semicolon, okay? Any questions? Any questions? Now let me show you that example again, no? This is a great this is about branching. When you say branching, the use of if-else statements. Okay? C++ users, have you discussed ifs and else ifs? I presume at this point. Have you discussed ifs and else ifs? I'm not going to explain it in very tedious detail, no? I will not explain it in detail. I will presume that you know what an if and an else if here. And you know what conditions are. You know what relational operators, how to state conditions, okay? Do you follow? Everyone? Do you know how to state conditions? Okay, good. If you know. No? If you know. Now, this is a grade computation program version 1. You know that your grades are from an exam are converted into numeric grades, no? However, they are converted into literal grades before they are viewed in your SIS, right? Do you follow? For example, to convert a grade into a score into a grade, you will have the formula score over items times quantity 100 minus base. There's a basis, no, of the grade times base. Okay. I'm still okay. Yes, I'm still recording, no. So shall we say you have a score of 55 for 100 items and base 40. You compute the grade. Now this is, and the equivalent is D. If you say 50 over 100, the equivalent is F. The equivalent is F, okay? Shall we say if you have 75, you compute the grade, the equivalent, it's 85, the equivalent is D. Shall we say 70? Okay. It's 82, the equivalent is C plus. 75, bakit nagaganon, no? 85 pala, hindi 75, no? The equivalent is B. If you have 90, the equivalent is A. Okay? Your application on this will be the income tax computation program. Okay, that's the second assignment. Okay, let me view of course, these are inputs, no? This is the input score, this is the item score, this is the base score, this is the compute button. Okay, and then let's view the page. So we have the input ID score, the type is number. We have items, the type is number. We have the base, the type is also number. And you have compute grade button. And then this is the button, no? It starts with the button and end button. And then we have an on click, okay, event, which calls the JavaScript function called compute grade. So what will it do? As usual, no? We'll retrieve the values of the elements, no? First, the ID score stored to X, then the value item stored to Y, and then the value Z, rather base stored to Z. Disregard the console.log, no? Anyway, we have no time to discuss that anymore. And then we round it off, no? Because the round, by the way, round it to the first decimal place, no? So X over Y to stand for score over items times 100 minus Z, quantity, no? To stand for 100 minus base times base, no? I'm sorry. Is that correct? Plus base pala. It should be plus base pala, not times base, no? That should be the correct formula. And then we will have an if then else. If grade is letter, we will compute a string LG. LG stands for letter grade. Okay. So if grade is lesser than 72, we say LG equals F. Else if, in Python we say elif. Okay, and then we terminate the condition with a colon. Okay. G is greater than or equal to 72 and G is lesser than or equal to 75. Now this and here stands for and. Okay. LG equals D. And so on and so forth according to the grade computation table. Do you follow? After we have computed the element grade, we retrieve the element ID grade. We say the grade 4, the score X over Y using base C is G, and the equivalent is LG. Now, if you have the elements, no? Okay. Letter G and grade. Okay. So nandito yung ano, grade, which is an H2, and letter G, which is an H2. Okay. Initially, they're empty, but upon the computation, we will display the letter grade. Okay. Now, let's look at your income tax computation. No? Ito yung income tax. You see the code. It's a lot of else ifs. No? It's how you should run. You can run this yourself. No? Do you follow? You can download Visual Studio Code and install Live Server add-in. Okay. You should be able to do that yourself. If you've done C++, you should be able to do that. No? So I'll say 200, and then we will compute the income tax. Now 200,000, you're still exempted, no? Because the value is 250. So kung 250, okay, it's still zero, but it's say 255, you will have 20%. Okay, of the no. Okay, and then 300. Okay, so you'll have a corresponding tax. Okay, the tax table is in Dagler. Look at the tax table in Dagler. No, it's here, no. Sorry, no. Income tax calculator program. Open this on the top. You follow? So ito yun, no? Do you follow? If it's lesser than 250, the income tax is zero. If it's between 250 and 400,000, it's 20% of the excess of 250. It's between 400 to 800, it's 30,000 plus 25% of the excess of 400, and so on and so forth. Okay, I hope you can understand this already on the formula. Now the last being, if your income is 8 million above, no, you pay 2.4 million plus 35% of the excess of 8 million. Okay, that is for the rich people. Okay, any questions so far? So this is how it should work, no? This is an application on if then else, also due on November 3. Now, let me look at the 3 different versions, no, of the conversion program, no? Like this. No? Wag na lang itong una. Yung una is using ano. So we'll waste our time. We'll look at the second version, no? This is the first assignment. Okay? This is the first assignment. Okay. You convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Celsius, meters to feet, and feet to meters. Okay? So we'll say 100 Celsius. We click convert. It's 212. Okay? 212 Celsius Fahrenheit, convert to Celsius, that's 100. 3 meters, convert, that's 9 feet. 9 feet, convert to meters. Do you follow? Okay. And then that's the assignment. I'm not launching this in Dagler or in W3 Spaces because you will be able to see the code. Okay. Do you follow? There's also a different version for this. No? So, no? The one without compute buttons, no, but on key up event handlers, no. So I'll say 100, automatically it will compute, no, without having to press a button. 212, no, converts, and then 3 feet, and then 9.84. Okay, you can also do it like that. Do you follow? That will be a challenge for you to do. Now, so this is the first assignment. The second assignment is income tax computation. Okay. The third and fourth assignment we will discuss next meeting. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions? Sir, kailangan po ba may design yung assignment? It doesn't need. No, I'm interested on the JavaScript, not on the HTML. But if you would like to design it, the last part, no, the payroll program can be designed. Okay, I'm interested on the JavaScript, no, on the program itself, not the HTML. Okay. Any questions? Okay, which brings us to another topic. Mabilis na tayo ngayon, okay? We'll be going fast because we'll have 2 meetings more after this. Okay, that will be our last 2 meetings. And then, by the way, there's a sample, there's a practice test, no? There's a practice test. It's open for the summative test. You can already start answering, the practice test. Starting now. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the home page. So there's also another branching statement called switch. Incidentally, switch has no equivalent in Python. Okay, no direct equivalent in Python. Okay, so you will have to make do with if else. No, you know what a switch is, everyone? Everyone, you know what a switch statement is? It's an elaborate version of if then else. No, it makes if then else statements easier to write. Okay, let's have an example here. This is the grade computation. The second example, no, this is a 50, shall we say 55, 100, the base 40, say compute grade. Now, aside from determining the letter grade, it will classify the grade to passing, good, very good, average, no, failing. So let's say you have 50 over 100, you compute the grade, it's 70, that is a failing grade. You follow? If you have 60, okay, that is an average grade. Okay, how about 65? That's still average. How about 70? That is an average grade. Okay, 75. That is a good grade. You get good if you get B. Okay, 80. That is a very good grade because that's B plus. Okay, they follow. Now, this is an if then else statement whose condition is based on a single variable. They follow. When you have an if then else statement using a single variable in the condition, it's much more preferable to write it in a switch version. Do you follow? Let's look at the code. Okay, so it's the same thing we computed for the letter grade, and we use a variable called CM or comment. Okay, comment, grade comment. Yeah. Switch LG. LG is the letter grade. When you say case F, we mean it's like if LG equals F. Do you follow? Actually, we can write this using an if version. In Python, you don't have a choice, no? If at saka elif. Do you follow? In Python, you don't have a choice. You just have to use if and elif. If LG is equal to F, we say CM equals a failing grade. And the preposition is A because you say a failing grade. No? However, when in an excellent grade, you say an excellent grade. So there's a preposition. When you say average grade, you say an average grade. Okay? Any questions so far? One of the distinct differences in an if and a switch is every branch of a switch should have a break. Okay, because if you don't make it a break, it's like an or. When you say case F or case D, it's like LG is equal to F or LG is equal to D. Okay, do you follow? So a switch statement is a more elegant version of an if where the assignment, or rather the conditions, are always tests for equality, which means LG equals F or LG equals D, tests for equality purely. No, and only a single variable is used. Okay, do you follow? The break at every case also terminates the scope. Okay, you follow? The default is like the else without a condition. Any questions so far? So you have done this in C++, right? Now, there's no equivalent of switch. Python programmers or users, there's no equivalent. I'm sorry about that. No direct equivalent. So you'll have to use elif in Python. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? So in the income tax calculator, you can either use if or else ifs, or you can use switch. Kasi income tax lang din eh, di ba? But if there's a greater than or equal, so I don't think it will be useful, no? Hindi pala pwede, no? However, you should have an application of switch already. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So that's how it's done, no? You can view the grade, you can view the code anytime like, but these are the things that you need to write, no? The conversion, assignment number 2 is income tax calculator. Assignment number 3 is factorial sum and average of the first natural numbers. Assignment number 4 is simple payroll. Okay, all assignments are due November 3. Upload all codes, all codes. Okay. Okay, and launch the pages in your w3spaces.com website. So it's important that you have your website now. Okay, I will be checking all websites by Monday. Okay, everyone, I'll be checking all websites. All websites should be present by Monday. Even just the simplest website will do. Although you can view, no, or you can adopt any W3 CSS template if you like, no. Okay. Any questions? Let me check the attendance first. Who's new? Ang problema sa ano, no? Dami nang naka-open kasi. Dami pa lang naka-open ito. Just terminate this na. Vuelo. Anyo. Aranyas, are you there? Aranyas. Areza. Espinosa. Insigne. Are you there? Iwata. Uki. Haraplasan. Raiso. Arsha, I think you're here.
Present, sir.
Pigaw.
Present, sir.
Recto. Tanduyan. You're here. Tanduyan.
Present, sir.
Anyone else? I close this now. Okay. Now, which brings us to another topic, no? Looping. Okay. There are three types of loops, no? While loops, do while loops, and for loops. Have you all done this? No? For example, we print natural numbers. What are natural numbers? They're the first n numbers. So we say 5. Okay. So we print the first natural numbers 1 to 5. Okay. When you say 10, we print the natural numbers 1 to 10. Okay. We can do this using for loops. No, you know already counters, right? So we also have an input called n limit. Okay, the limit of natural numbers to print. We do this by a while loop. Well, we start with a counter I is equal to 1. Okay, and n text is equal to blank. Okay, so while I is less than or equal to n limit, this is a while syntax from C# or C++. Do you follow? We say n text plus equals I plus whatever it is. So if it starts at 1, n text becomes 1, and then the next time around it adds the 2, the 3. Okay, and then you know what I plus plus is, or plus plus I, everyone? It adds 1 to I, and then when I reaches the n limit or surpasses the n limit, it will terminate the loop, during which we get the element ID. Okay, n title, it's here, no? The first 10 natural numbers, no? The first n limit natural numbers are, and the element ID of n numbers, no? N numbers is the text to show, no? N text, no? This one, n text. Okay. Okay, 3. Do you follow? So that's a while loop. Sir, di ba usually ginagamit ang I sa LCV? What do you mean by LCV? Serbo? Let's Google that. Sorry, that's wrong. In C++. Loop control variable, yes. It's a loop control variable. It limits the number of times that the loop is executed. Remember, no? Earlier during the first grading, we discussed looping concepts, where we can have the condition for continuation and condition for termination. Okay, so it's a loop control variable, and particularly used to specify a condition for continuation. Okay, like here, no? This condition is a condition for continuation. It's a loop control, no? Which means that while the condition is true, the loop will keep repeating. Do you follow? Servo, no? Loop control variable or condition for continuation. Now, the loop control is in a while loop, the loop control is at the head of the loop. Okay? Okay? Any questions? Now, there's also another version of this loop. It's called a do-while loop. Okay? What's the difference? Okay, using a do-while loop. Okay, ito, no? So we'll say 5. Okay. They have the same function, but with subtle differences, no? Okay? Now, in a do-while loop, the LCV, as you call it, no? Or the condition for continuation is at the end, not at the beginning. Okay? Do you follow? Okay. The main difference is a do-while loop will execute at least once, while a while loop may not execute at all, because the condition is at the beginning. When the condition for continuation is violated, it will not repeat at all, even once. Do you follow? But in this case, no, there's no difference between a while loop and a do-while loop, because not unless, no, of course, I is 0. Do you follow? No? Any questions? So do while and ano. How do you do while loops in ano? Python? I'm sure it's in W3 schools, no? Ito, no? So ayan, while halos pareho lang. Do you follow? Python users, no? While condition followed by a colon. Okay? And you say I plus plus, I will also work. Plus equals also works. Python users, no? There should be no ano. Okay? Do while loops. It's just another language, no? Another language is just any other language. Parang the same language. Okay. Yeah. Is there a do while equivalent or repeat until? Others. This is a C#. This is what it looks in ano. C++. But there's no do while equivalent. Ang hirap pala, no? But you can still go around it, okay? Pwede rin naman yan. Is there a repeat until loop in ano, Python? Some languages provide repeat until. Halos parehas yan ng do while, no? Wala talaga. There's no do while equivalent in Python, no? Okay. Any questions so far? How about for loops? Okay. So, in this example, no, Python and Java have, because JavaScript has two versions of for loops, no? Dalawang version, merong for I, saka merong for in. Okay? For in. This is also applicable in JavaScript. For in, no? Walang for in sa C++. Okay? We follow, it's about simpler form, no? Okay. Now let's do it using for loops. Okay. For loops, okay. So let's say 5. Here's the equivalent, no? Have you all discussed for loops in C++? They're the same, no? For I is equal to 1. Pwede na itong wala. We can erase this. N text is equal to blank. Also in the a for loop has 3 parts: initialization, condition for continuation, and then followed by a body, and followed by a repetition. Repetition is always done at the end after the body. Okay, it's like a while loop, actually, no? Because the sequence of operation will be initialization. Initialization is only done once, and then continuation, okay, condition for termination, a continuation, and then the body, and then the repetition. It's just the same, no? Do you follow? Okay. You don't have to say I plus plus anymore because it's in the repetition. You don't have to say I equals 1 even here, no? You can delete this. You can also say n text equals blank in the initialization. Do you follow? Any questions? So if you're not a C++ programmer, you have to study for loops because there's a different version. For this is normal. There's another for loop, no? There's another for loop in JavaScript. Let me show you an example. Dito sa ano, dito sa payroll. Oh, sorry. Wait. Meron dito, no? madali na lang muna. Ito, for loop pa rin ito. Take note, for loop, no? Okay. Let's use, I think this, ano, the one with tables. Let me show you the payroll program. Sneak preview, no? Bakit wala, no? I should have this example anyway. No? Let's just Google that, no? For each, I think it's for each loop in JavaScript. Yeah, there's a for each loop in JavaScript. No? Also, no. This is the equivalent of the for in. Okay, do you follow? There's no example. For each loop. Mas maganda sana kung meron tayong ibang example, no? Let's just it's the equivalent of for in. We have it here. It's the equivalent of for in. So it's not exactly for, but it's for each. Ayaw, may advertisement. Yeah, it's like this, no? If you had an array, instead of using let I following the array and a of 1, you can just easily say food array for each. So which means it will now loop for each element of the array food array. Do you follow? Array for each, it's an element of the array. For each is easier to read. No? Okay, do you follow? Okay, so for each is the equivalent of for in Python. It allows you to access the elements of an array one by one. Okay. Any questions so far? Now let me show you one more. Have you done random numbers in random numbers? So, how to generate random numbers? Okay, so let's say I generate 5 random numbers. It generates random numbers right away, and then you can sort the numbers. You can also reverse the sorting of the numbers. Do you follow? This is also a looping example. Okay, so you have the button generate numbers, and the click on click handler is gen numbers. Here's gen numbers. We store them in an array. This is how we declare an array in JavaScript. Okay, and then our numbers is the header that we'll use. No, to add an element to the array, we say a numbers that push. Do you follow? Okay, and to sort an array, we say a numbers that sort with this. To reverse the array, we say a numbers that reverse. Okay, do you follow? So this is already declaration of arrays. No, this is how you declare an array. Very simple. Okay, it can be a generic array. One element will be a number, another element may be a string. It's an array of heterogeneous elements. Okay, in JavaScript. Okay, so this is the no. You can study this sorting and reversing the numbers. Okay, so that's more or less what we are in store for the moment. No, branching and looping. We'll be discussing arrays of objects by next meeting. We have 2 meetings to do that. I think there's time enough, no? And you practice the test, okay? You do the practice test, everyone, over the weekend, okay? And then you start writing your programs. It's a tough time for you, no? Okay, because it's finals time, no? Yeah. So nandito na tayo, no? Okay, let me look at your sample, ano, if you have already there. Okay. Still have time. 20 minutes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, paano yan, sir, kapag mag-abot good sa limit ang ano, ang yung sa W3, sir?
Nag-abot ka na
Pwede
ng
man Yes, sir, kaka-refresh, sir, kaka-check. Pero okay lang man kaya maggawa ng bagong account,
Gawa ka
sir.
na ng bagong account. Okay.
Okay po.
Okay. Otherwise, you pay $1. But you need
Kaya nga po.
I paid $1.
Ang bago.
Much easier for me. It's only 50 pesos anyway, no? It's much easier for me to a request is one time save, one time edit. Every time you edit and then you save, that's one request. You delete, that's one request. So I was wondering how you reach 500 ano?
Save ko ata, sir, then change kay medyo naglalaro ako sa ano, sir, ba? Sa pag-move.
You play around, no? You play around in your local computer. I forgot to warn you that, no? Because I only realized that when W3 emailed me that I've already reached 466 requests. Because I've tested so many, Do you follow? You just create another account and then you can email it to me if you make changes, okay? Umabot ng 100, so i-delete ko na lang, okay? Just email me the okay. Or you can answer the test again, okay? You can go back and answer it again.
Sige po, sir. Thank you.
Let's look at sino bang meron na? Start with letter A. Sa other classes, marami na, Si Angeles. Okay, let's look at Angeles. Ranyas is with us ba? Seguelo meron na. Okay. Let's look at Serbo. Do you already have? Wala pa si Serbo, no? And then we have Clarde. Do you already have? Clarde, yes. Entize. Let's find out if you have. Yes. Inyes, do you have? Inyes and Buting. Wala pa si Inyes, no? Genius, you make your website, okay? Buyan. Wala pa, Buyan. Buyan, you don't have anything yet. Juan doesn't have. Labugyan is from a different section. Milyape, do you have? Milyape, wala pa. Masiyas, wala pa. Namuwag. Okay. Juan. Okay, do you already have? Okay, let's check one. One, you didn't pass. Okay. Okay. Where did you pass your first name?
Sir,
What? Huh?
sir, yung first name po, sir, sa selections, no? Nakalagay po siya sa I.
Okay.
First name po, first name.
Yeah, ay ba?
Opo, nakalagay siya sa I, kaya hindi po makita yung ibang submissions.
So saan ko titingnan yung mo? Yung website mo?
Pakisat na lang po na sa all yung first name.
All.
Opo.
Tapos K. Nakaset sa I. Okay, I'm sorry, no?
Ano, sir?
Okay. Sikugat siya, dili mo taga dire. Okay, let me look at your websites. This is Angeles. It's too simple, no? Make a menu, Angeles. Now, this is not your assignment, okay? Sum of two numbers, that's my example. Angeles. Okay? Pagka nandito na. Si Milyabe, mas wala pa, no? Angeles, no? You're doing this the wrong way, okay? This is not your assignment, this is my example. Okay? Clarde. Okay? Okay. Okay. Simple ito, no? I suggest you make use of labels. Okay. Anyway, this. It's all right. Assignment number 2. Wala pa. Clarde has submitted the first assignment. Okay. Pero mas gusto, it could have been better if you used input. No? Okay. There's nothing wrong with this, no? Everything that you upload is correct. Tise. Assignment number 1. Wala pa, no? Okay. Now you could use a W3 CSS template, no? Other students have used this, no? The WCSS3 templates, no? I've shown you already, no? How to get it. Good thing. Okay. Is this a template? Wala lang, no? You make a template. It's good that you use a template so that it will be easier for me to navigate. Okay, Sir Bono, I'll schedule you for the weekend. Okay. For FA2. Okay, this is all right, no? 4 assignments lang tayo. Do you follow? Okay. We only have 4 assignments. So, paki-delete itong 5th, no? 1, we only have 4 assignments. You write your name on the page so that I will know who it is. Okay? Just like mine, okay? I wrote my name there. Okay. You write your name on the page so that I will know whose it is, no? When I check. Nandito pala, no? I'm sorry, no? Nandito pala, hindi lang masyadong klaro. Okay. Okay? So make sure you have your web page by Monday. I will check everything when you have uploaded your code. There's nothing for me to check if you don't upload, okay? So any other questions? So next meeting we will talk about arrays, no? And then I'll give you an example on selections, no? Instead of inputs, no? And then I've shown you the payroll program. I'll show you the payroll program again, okay? Okay, napakita ko na ba? I'll show you that next meeting anyway, no? Any questions? Let me show you that briefly, no? The payroll program. May time pa, okay? Napakita ko na ba ito? I'll say this is a simple payroll. This is your assignment, no? Dyan. 3, 4, then 100, 440. Add employee like this, no? This is the payroll program, and then you say add another employee, Peter. 7 days, 500. So say 200. Okay, they follow. Then you can add another. So say 5 days, 150. Okay, like this. You can delete an employee. So say you delete number 2. Okay. Then ask for a confirmation when you say okay. Then you can clear the payroll. Okay, like that. Okay, start again. Okay, so this is the payroll program that you are supposed to write. I'll discuss this again by next meeting. So we have 5 minutes more. No time for a new topic. We are down to our last 2 meetings now. So remember now, there's a practice test. You do the practice test, and then you start creating your website. It's tough time for you. We are about to reach the finish line. Okay. So there's a study guide. November 2 lang. Kasi November 3 to 5 yung ating okay. There's a set of review questions. Now, summative test. You can start your review. Yes. This should end on November 2. No, kasi November 3 yung ating exam. Okay. Okay, you can start doing your review for the summative test. There's a set of review questions. Okay. So it's time now. 4 minutes. So if you have no questions, we might as well dismiss the session today. Thanks everyone for coming. No, I'll deal the FA2 problems no over the weekend. Okay. Okay. So goodbye everyone. See you next meeting. No, I'll upload this session to YouTube. Okay. Thanks for coming. Bye everyone. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.